Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is TVP World. You're watching World News. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and these are the latest headlines. Ahead of crucial talks between U.S. and Ukrainian officials on Tuesday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy met with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Jeddah. Zelenskyy thanked the Crown Prince for his strong support of Ukraine, particularly in peace efforts and global diplomacy. The two leaders discussed key issues, including Ukraine's future and its cooperation with international partners. Zelenskyy praised Saudi Arabia's role in mediating international talks and stressed the importance of peace, especially in securing the release of prisoners and the safe return of Ukrainian children, which he sees as a vital step in rebuilding trust. A major focus of their discussion was security guarantees, seen as crucial to Ukraine's future stability. The talk comes just ahead of high-stakes U.S.-Ukraine meeting, which Washington hopes will lead to a concrete step towards ending Russia's war.
We have to understand the Ukrainian position and just have a general idea of what concessions they'd be willing to make, because you're not going to get a ceasefire and an end of this war unless both sides make concessions. It's just obvious. We'll need to see, without, maybe we won't go into great details, we're not going to be sitting in a room drawing lines on a map, but just get a general sense of what concessions are in the realm of the possible for them and what they would need in return. Well, the Ukrainians are already receiving all defensive intelligence information as we speak. I think all the notion of the pause in aid broadly is something I hope we can resolve. Obviously, I think what happens tomorrow will be.
The search for a missing crew member following Monday's ship collision in the North Sea has officially ended. The accident involved the U.S.-flagged tanker Stena Immaculate and a Portuguese container ship Solong, which collided off the coast of the United Kingdom. 36 crew members from both ships were safely brought to shore, and one person was hospitalized. However, one crew member from the Solong remains missing, and authorities have confirmed that search efforts have now concluded. As for the environmental impact, initial reports raised concerns about possible oil spills from the tanker, but damage assessments are still ongoing. The incident, which occurred in a busy North Sea shipping lane, has heightened concerns over maritime safety and environmental risks. French President Emmanuel Macron has warned that Moldova is facing increasingly blatant attempts from Moscow to destabilize the country. His statement came after a meeting with Moldovan President Maya Sandu.
For 3 years, your country has been suffering the full human and economic consequences of the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine. Moldova, whose airspace is regularly violated by Russian drones and missiles, also has to contend with increasingly uninhibited Russian attempts at destabilization, targeting your country's democratic institutions in particular. We have decided to further strengthen our cooperation to increase Moldova's resilience to foreign interference.
Moldova has learned firsthand that Russia breaks every promise. It pledged to withdraw its illegal troops from our territory by 2002. Never did. It cut off gas, violating its own supply contract. It imposes embargoes on Moldovan produce, ignoring trade agreements. It interfered in our elections, flouting basic bilateral principles. These aren't isolated acts. They are tools of a modern imperialism that seeks to keep nations in its grip. I cannot agree more with President Macron. The innocence of the last 30 years is over. But together, Europe can build a just and lasting peace, a peace that makes all us safer. Moldova is not just a spectator in this effort. We are a contributor, a partner. We help Ukraine by maintaining stability on our side of the 1,200 kilometers border, providing refuge and standing firm against Russian destabilization efforts.
In the early hours of Tuesday, March 11th, Ukraine launched a drone attack on Russia, targeting an area just outside of Moscow. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin claims that more than 58 drones were shot down, all headed towards the capital. One of the drones struck a high-rise residential building in the town of Ramenskoye, damaging the top 3 floors. Emergency crews are on site. Russian media reports suggest the drones enter Moscow's airspace from multiple directions, with many approaching from the southeast. So far, no casualty have been reported. The attack comes at a crucial moment as U.S. and Ukrainian officials hold talks on ending Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine. Responding to a massive cyber attack on his social media platform X, Elon Musk stated that while the platform faces cyber attacks daily, this one was carried out with significant resources. On Monday, X suffered multiple outages, with thousands of users worldwide reporting issues. Musk blamed the disruption on large-scale cyber attack, suggesting that it may have been carried out by a coordinated hacker group or even a state actor. He shared his claim on a post, and later in an interview with Fox Business, Musk added that IP addresses in the Ukraine area were involved. The outages lasted several hours, with most users reporting problems accessing the mobile app and website. This comes amid a wave of attacks and protests targeting Tesla, which is also owned by Musk. Billionaire Elon Musk has escalated his feud with Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski, calling him a Soros puppet on Monday, a day after their public clash on X. The exchange was sparked by a Polish user who shared old photos of Sikorski with his wife, Anna Applebaum, and the son of American billionaire George Soros. In response, Musk claimed the Polish foreign minister was influenced by Soros. This comes just a day after Musk called Sikorski a small man, following the minister's suggestion that Poland may need to explore alternatives to Starlink in Ukraine if Musk continues to threaten its availability. Now to Romania, where the fallout from the cancelled presidential election is making waves far beyond the country's borders. In Bucharest, protests broke out Sunday in support of pro-Russian presidential candidate Calin Georgescu. He won the first round of elections last year, but has been barred from running in May following a decision by the Constitutional Electoral Bureau. Georgescu called the ban a direct blow to the heart of democracy worldwide in a post on social media.
Romania's presidential hopeful Calin Georgescu has been barred from re-entering the presidential election rerun scheduled for May. The Central Electoral Bureau announced the decision on Sunday on the grounds that his candidacy, quote, doesn't meet the conditions of legality as he violated the very obligation to defend democracy.
Evidence was gathered against Georgescu given his underground deals with basically paramilitary organizations.
The far-right populist candidate non grata was quick to spin the accusation around.
A direct blow to the heart of democracy worldwide. I have one message left. If democracy in Romania falls, the entire democratic world will fall. This is just the beginning. It's that simple. Europe is now a dictatorship. Romania is under tyranny.
The references to anti-democracy were parroted by conservatives elsewhere, including outspoken supporter of the European far-right and US President Trump's close advisor, Elon Musk. But while some experts suggest that Georgescu and his supporters might be all bark and no bite,
Georgescu is an adventurer surrounded by adventurers. These people are really not serious. They are organized crime, networks and networks of organized crime with connections with Romania's former Securitate, who found this guy. This guy had been running in elections for 20 years, in all kinds of elections. So he's like a professional presidential candidate.
The impact that Georgescu himself and the extreme right expected to see, a sort of revolution of frustration. Neither the nation nor God were there to basically create the waves, then ripples that he was expecting yesterday.
Others warned that the decision to ban a candidate in presidential elections could deepen the constitutional crisis rapidly brewing in the country.
Cancel his election. It's never a good thing for a democracy. So much so that it's been so many months ever since. So the political crisis, the polarization only grew because there's this, nobody really knows where we're heading.
The crisis for which Georgescu has become the poster boy since the now annulled November presidential elections, which ended in his shock victory despite Georgescu consistently polling below 10%. The outcome of the election was ruled to be the result of Georgescu's campaign misconduct. This ranged from the use of TikTok to gain unfair exposure to
problems with funding, problems with foreign intervention, and he lying entirely about his sources of income. Not even his fiscal status is clear.
Georgescu vowed to appeal the Central Electoral Bureau's decision, which he has 24 hours to do. The Constitutional Court will then have 72 hours to respond.
Wojciech Przybylski calls the decision to bar far-right candidate Calin Georgescu from Romania's upcoming presidential election controversial and unnecessary. Speaking to TVP World, he argued that even if Georgescu were elected, Parliament could still review the situation and remove him from office if absolutely necessary.
Mr. Georgescu might have been given the benefit of a doubt unless the electoral service, electoral bureau of Romania, and the court system had proven beyond doubt that he in fact has broken the law and that his action made him unqualified to even run in the elections. That action is very hard to explain to international partners. I think it is very hard even more to explain to Romanians, to those who believe that we should be serious about our democratic processes, or we're losing credibility and we're entering some turf that is undefined.
As Greenland holds parliamentary elections on March 11th, the island's future is at stake, with independence from Denmark as the central issue. Polls show many Greenlanders support independence, but opinions vary on the timing and economic impact, especially given Denmark's $1 billion annual contribution to Greenland's economy. The main parties in the election include Inuit Ataqatigiit, which supports independence but warns against moving too quickly, Sumut, which backs a gradual transition, and Nalekrak, which pushes for swift operation. Now, other parties like Demokratit and Ataksut hold mixed reviews on Greenland's political future, including the possibility of forming a defense agreement with the U.S. or other nations. With Greenland's vast natural resources, such as rare earth minerals and its strategic location, U.S. interest in the election has grown, particularly regarding potential defense and resource agreements. The results could shape Greenland's political future and its relationship with Denmark, the United States, and the broader global community. Tom Rose, Donald Trump's pick for U.S. ambassador to Poland, has criticized a proposed tax on international tech companies. In a post on X, he called it not very smart and a self-destructive tax that will only hurt Poland and its relation with the U.S. Rose went on to warn President Trump will reciprocate, as he should, rescind the tax to avoid the consequences. He joins a growing list of Trump administration figures voicing opposition to Europe's efforts to impose stricter regulations on international tech giants. The tax, proposed by Digital Affairs Minister Krzysztof Gawkowski, would overturn preferential treatment that allowed tech companies in Poland to pay significantly lower taxes than in most European countries. Gawkowski argues the move would redirect profits towards developing Poland's domestic tech industry. And with that, we conclude this edition of World News. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.